of the earliest things I did on my YouTube journey was this red velvet cake, which did very well. I used different options for cooking it, and it was like a passion project for me. Like, I'm a bit emotional about it right now, but it gave me a lot of confidence because I was showing people what I believe in, that no matter what you have, you should be able to do something with it. And today I'm coming out with a bigger and a better rendition for those in Ghana for you to be able to try. If you find yourself in our part of the world, you can easily try it out. And this is my Nutella inspired red velvet cake. And trust me, some days things won't go too well. Like this very day, I wanted to go very quick, very easy, pamper yourself kind of vibe. So I was using the food processor. I poured in the sugar, poured in the margarine, and the food processor says, I won't mix. And I was like, oh my God, help me. So I had to scoop it out into my bowl and then start mixing it manually. Fortunately for me, I learned to do this the hard way growing up. My dad always made that stew it mostly manual at home. So doing a manual wasn't too stressful. So I poured in my eggs, added in my essence and then the treacle and then my baking spice, and then decided to also whisk that in the processor. But funny enough, I don't know, this day, my processor was like, no, I'm not going to work for you. And I had to do everything manual. So yes, I did it manually and I mixed it till it was very fluffy and doubled up. Then I inculcated my Nutella. Like I said, this is a Nutella inspired chocolate red velvet cake, because every red velvet cake has some sort of cocoa in there as well. So I decided to use a Nutella, which has the hazelnut and the cocoa in there. Yeah, sometimes you have to pamper yourself a bit, spoil yourself a bit. So this actually improved on the texture. And if you want the description, if you check the description button, you'd get all the quantities in there. So I just inculcated this and then make sure that my butter, which is the sugar and the margarine, was actually very fluffy and very soft and dropping off the ladle before I had to move to the next step. So this, doing it manually, can take you some time, maybe like 10-15 minutes to get it this stage. That's if you are like a pro used to doing it. So once that was done, I added in some food color. If you don't want the food color, it's optional. Because it's a red velvet cake, I added in the food color. But if you're against food color, I know most people don't really buy into it because it's not one of the healthiest stuff. You can drop it off and have it like a hazelnut cake without the food color as well. So once that goes in, I just place it aside and I went on to whisk my egg mixture. Like I said, this day technology decided to fail me, but you need to have the attitude of, what do I do to solve this thing? How do I go past this thing? So I went my manual way. After all, I was always used to doing this manual when I started, and I learned this manual from my daddy as well. So I just incorporated it. Your eggs have to double up and be so airy, no water at the base. And you need to mix them in batches with your mixture. As you are putting it into the batter, you need to make sure that you're actually mixing it so well that it incorporates beautifully into every part of it. So yes, I did this, and like I said, you have to do it in batches. You may even put it in like 3 or 4. Yes, and like I said, you can check the description button for the ingredients list as well. Make sure you beat it so well that there's no how do you call it, water at the base. The trick to having very fluffy cake is that, one, the margarine and sugar that you are mixing to form the batter, it should be well done. If it's well done, it's very fluffy, it easily drops off the ladle, then you know you have a good batter. And then the next trick is to have your eggs well beaten so that it is very well foamy. If your eggs are well beaten and well foamy, you have no problem about getting fluffy cake. So once that was done, I just had my flour, then I added in the baking powder to it, and then inculcated the flour in. At this point, you realize I had changed from the wooden ladle to my spatula, because you don't want to really do that in there. Mind you, when you are mixing the flour and then the cake base, you want to actually fold it in. You're not going to knead it or mix it like, oh yeah, baby. If you do like that, you're going to activate gluten and your cake is going to be ching or very stretchy, instead of it being fluffy and soft and well behaved. Yes, so like I said, like with the egg, you need to also inculcate the flour in batches so that you'll be able to mix it properly. So once this is going on, at this point, you know that cake no and no, and you realize my texture was looking very well, very good. Yes, because I made sure that my margarine, sugar, butter was well done, the egg was well fluffy, and that was a good plus. So I did this using the air fryer, using my daddy or what saucepan or cauldron, how you want to call it. And then I also used both the cupcakes as well as the baking tin. So there's the cupcakes for the air fryer, the silicone cupcake molds, and I just fill this in and then I put this into the air fryer and then we're good to go. But I also had the basin for baking cake with the air fryer. Like I said, you need to get some air fryer accessories. They make life very simple and they make baking and cooking very fun and easy as well. I greased it with some cake because I realized my pan, even though it's non-stick, it ends up sticking at times. So I realized the safest thing is just to base it with some margarine. And since margarine is more common and more cheap, I just use margarine instead of butter. So I just place a bit of the Nutella in the middle so that when you're cutting and you get to the middle, you can share that love across as well. So I use a cake function, which is 170 for 20 minutes, but I ended up increasing it a bit to 180 degrees because I wanted a bit of heat in there. Now, I also did the local option. Like I said, one of my passion projects was the first red velvet cake I made on the channel, where I showed means or ways I used to bake my cake without an oven in my student apartment, in my student life as an undergraduate. Yes. So for me, baking, cooking, they've always been something for me. Like food is my friend. I'm a happy foodie. So cooking is like a passion project for me, and this is how I started. These pans, I had them when I was in undergrad. Yes, when I started baking and all those things, I used to use these as well. So for these, because they are local aluminum tins pans, you need to base them very well. Some use flour, but I prefer to use a margarine. The flour sometimes makes the cake, the around look quite white, and before you realize, it gets a bit moldy early. So I started scooping it, and I remember that, oh, I had some raisins there, some blueberries. I was like, let me just add more of them into it. So when I was done, I just poured it into the mold. Please make sure you don't fill it to the brim. Make sure you have it halfway. You don't need to go more than half, else it's going to pop out of it as well. Don't forget about that. Keep that in mind. If there's nothing you don't remember from here, make sure you never fill to the brim. So I just spread more fruits onto the top, and by the time I was actually done with all those, the cupcakes were done. The mistake I made with my cupcakes was that I filled it to the brim. So like I said, don't fill to the brim, because with your air fryer, it won't puff like in the oven. It's going to come out, or how do I say, heavy on top. So I had to reduce it. Then I placed the bigger one into it. For this, pardon me, but all you need is your cauldron. I prefer using that the same to the saucepan, because saucepans can look very nasty afterwards and you have to scrub more. But this, because it's a heavy aluminium, it's able to retain the heat in for long. And so all you need is that, and then you put in your is that a bridle? I don't know how you call it, but you put that netty stuff in, then you put your cake into it, and usually I'll preheat it on very high heat before I put the cake in. Then I put it at very low heat, which is like 180 degrees for the period of time, like 20 minutes you should be. But every 10 minutes you need to actually rotate it to get good results. So once that was in, I took out the air fryer cupcakes I did, and I think some of them had some sweaty bits in, so some of them got stuck to it. So I think maybe next time I need to check it out, maybe move it very early or base it. Now the cake, I took it out and I realized the top was soft, but the inside was a bit not too done, so I had to give it extra time as well. Then like I said, for the dadeseng or the ones you do in your cauldron, you'd have to be rotating it like every 10 minutes at worst. You need to actually be rotating it, and sometimes if you fill it too much, it's going to stick onto it. For my air fryer big portion cake, I accidentally dropped it, so it got messy and I had to like redo. But like I said, I had to give it extra time, so I actually ended up doing 40 minutes for the bigger cake, the all-in-one. But for the cupcakes, the 20 minutes actually did the drill for 180 degrees Celsius, and I packaged them. Now what I realized was the air fryer ones, when you make them fresh, they may be a little bit crumbly, but once they cool down or you put them in the fridge, they become a bit more cakey and very stuffed, which is very nice to enjoy. The oven one, or the ones I did on the stove, you get them well crispy on the outside and a typical cake kind of feeling right from the onset, which gives you like good fresh baked cakes to enjoy as compared to the air fryer. But that's a preference. Like I said, I enjoy the air fryer ones after the first day when they were in the fridge. I just loved them very much from there. But then I enjoyed more from the hot oven kind of vibe as well. So like I said, these are all options you can go with. And this is the air fryer one with the chocolates in the middle. Then I also packaged the one that I baked with the dadeseng or the cauldron. And these are the smaller ones I also made with the dadeseng, which also came with good shapes. And yes, I hope you did like this video. Do support me, give me some subscription. Do make sure you recommend me to your friends to also check Cooking with Abba. Till I see you in the next food video, do live life to the fullest. Be joyous, be merry. Lots of love from my team and I. Mwah.